Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. This evening's topic: nature is about balance, not equality. Part 2, the relationship edition. Now, I did a video 4 days ago and I had talked about how society is out of balance and there are certain components that allow the earth to replenish itself, such as natural disasters, the belief in the Most High, and stable relationships. Well, I want to do the relationship edition because there are a number of individuals who don't understand what a relationship is. In fact, the number of relationships today aren't even based on love. They're based on some type of convenience. Now, the convenience that you're going to get out of a number of today's relationships is basically FWB, friends with benefits. It's just sex for money. It's almost like prostitution. Now, before you get involved in a serious relationship with somebody, you as an individual must look at yourself. And the big problem is we tend to point fingers at others, and we blame others, and we lecture others because we have a self-righteous attitude, because we want people to act the way we want them to act. In other words, we want them to be molded based off of our point of view. But when you do that, you must understand that for every individual you blame, they're going to point issues back at you. The problem with us as individuals is we're very delusional. We think we're not doing anything. But at the end of the day, if everybody's saying the same thing about us, then you have to come to the conclusion that everybody is not lying. Although we may think they're lying because we don't want to take responsibility for our actions. Now, being a responsible person is part of being an adult. Now, there are a number of brothers and sisters in all communities who believe that there aren't good people to have relationships with. I totally disagree. There are a number of people who don't want relationships, and that's fine. Some people are into building families. Now, when I talk about relationships, I talk about companionships between adults whose children are already grown, because we always forget that when children grow up, the parents are still alive. And some of these parents don't get to know each other because their whole lives centered around their children. But before you even get to that point, when it comes to a relationship, you must be compatible with the other person. I'm going to use the 80-20 rule. And this is my own personal opinion. You should agree on 80%. Because the more you agree on, the better it is for you and that other person, because it's going to be less conflict. See, a number of relationships end today over silliness. Now, why do they end over silliness? Because a number of us did not get into the relationship for the right reason. In fact, a number of us really have the wrong people. We get into relationships off of materialism and superficialness. And at the end of the day, we don't really know who that other person is, but we don't know who we are. When both parties are going in the same direction and they have the same vision and they're willing to work hard and invest equal effort, a relationship will work. When it comes to being strong, it's not how much mouth you have. It's what you do to make the relationship work, and it's how you endure the struggles. One must understand that life fluctuates. It's like a sine wave. It goes up and down. You have your peaks and valleys. The people who are able to endure the peaks and valleys will have a healthy, long-lasting relationship. The people who won't survive the peaks and valleys, their relationships will never work, or they're going to be in and out of a number of relationships. Now, the problem that I see with a number of people today when it comes to a relationship is that, from my personal opinion, individuals really don't know what they want in a person. As men, we always see what is on the outside. And when we see what's on the outside, we just throw our belief system away because we have become hypnotized by the way this person looks, but we don't look at what comes out of her mouth. We don't look at how she thinks. And as a woman, you have a number of women who look at a man for what he has. They're materialistic. They don't look at this man as possibly being crazy, deranged, controlling, all the other bad adjectives that go along with it. And when it comes to building relationships, you have to understand dating. Now, dating is very important because this is where you're going to find out who a person really is. And when it comes to dating, it's the stage where you get to know a person. There's certain components to dating. There are the phone calls. There's the text messaging. There's the meeting one another. And I'm talking about doing all this before you consider having sex. Now, if that's all you want to have with somebody, then of course this video is not for you, because I'm talking about individuals who want stable relationships. But when I talk about dating, dating is important because this is the field work or the foundation. And the types of questions you want to field when you're dating somebody can be personal. Was this person abused? Did this person come from a family who was abusive? Alcoholics? Was there molestation that occurred? Were the family members educated? Did they come from an environment that was poor? These are valid questions. Men and women need to address these issues, because if you have a person who comes from a stable environment and a person who doesn't come from a stable environment, now I'm not saying that relationship cannot work. It can work, but there are going to be a lot more problems. And when I talk about being a mirror image, or let's say compatible to one another, you have to have that ingredient so you have less conflict. Every relationship is going to have conflict. Now, some people might still ask me, why do I care about relationships? Relationships are a stabilizer when the components are right. And when you believe in the Most High and you understand how the kingdom works, you can't go wrong with a relationship. See, a person who runs around single all of their lives, and I'm not saying everyone, really doesn't have an understanding about a relationship. You have a lot of men out here who are whoremongers. All they want to do is have sex with a woman, but they don't get to know a woman. They don't understand what companionship is. And when they don't understand what companionship is, these types of men, and I'm going to put the women in this category as well, and these types of women who tend to be promiscuous will not be good mates because they're not going to be loyal. Why? Because they're not loyal to themselves. They lie to themselves. See, a relationship, again, is based on two people. And I'm talking about a relationship that leads into marriage, and then from marriage, families are made. I'm not talking about menage a trois or polyamorous relationships or any relationships that involve more than two people. I'm talking about two people. Now, the first order of business to help balance when you're dating, you must understand that both parties need to realize that a true relationship is a partnership. Certainly there's love involved, but it's also a business. Both the man and the woman must be able to bring money to the table, because I don't care how much love you have. If you don't have your finances together, there's going to be a lot of struggle. And one thing I can tell you, relationships, particularly first marriages, for the most part, end because of money woes. And the biggest complaint I have with a number of women today is that they don't understand investment and money. They're consumerists. For the most part, yes, more women are going to college, but at the end of their college days, they have more debt. And you have some men out here who are paying their debt off. Fellas, when it comes to meeting a woman, you don't want to meet a woman who is in debt. You're talking about balance, there's going to be no balance. In fact, she's bringing her debt into the relationship, which is going to cause that relationship to have a lot of conflict when it comes to money. And at the end of the day, that relationship will not last. Now, why do I continue to make a big deal over finances in relationships? Because, as I repeat myself, you have to pay bills. Some of us need a car to get back and forth to work. We need clothes. Certainly, do we need some entertainment? Yes, but we have responsibilities. And when you understand the value of a dollar while you're dating, then when you get married, it's going to be a little easier. But here is the biggest thing that I want to tell any individual when it comes to marriage. Take time to enjoy each other before you bring kids into the world. This is another area that divorces will be high. Kids before you're ready. And I know there are a number of men out there, it can be tough, and they'll leave the relationship. Same with women. It's very important that before you start a family, if both of you intend on being together in marriage, you must support each other. You must listen to each other's goals. Now, your goals should be to keep the relationship going. And you need to make that relationship number one. Now, also, you have to keep the balance within that relationship based on who you associate with. If I meet a woman and she associates with bad people, although she's a good person, I'm going to assume, and I hate to use the word assume, but I must assume that that person who is hanging around individuals who are not good people can be easily influenced by her girlfriends or the boyfriends, and those bad people will always interfere in the relationship. And this is very critical as well when it comes to interracial relationships. And this is what a number of individuals don't think about. Certainly, the man and woman can get along all day. But what pushes interracial relationships apart are the different cultures. And of course, it's the family. Because the families aren't going to always agree on what you do. Now, I will put this out about myself. I was married to a white woman one time. It didn't work. So for all you swirlers out there, I'm going to tell you why it didn't work. Because if you are the African American person, particularly if you have children with a white person, basically the Caucasian person wants the children to be raised white because they think their culture is better. And this is why I tell African American people, you got to understand your culture and you can't be ashamed of it. We have good history. There's a lot of good things African Americans have done. But we've allowed ourselves to be taken over by this Eurocentric thinking. And when that happened, this is when they made us feel inferior. And this is why we have racism. As I told you, racism is not about color. Again, racism is basically coming from a group who believes in their eyes that what they do is greater than the minority people. And what they utilize is a system. This is where Jim Crow came from. This is where white supremacy came from. And this is where classism came from. And what they do as elitists is incapacitate individuals to whom they think are inferior to them by utilizing a system that hurts individuals economically, politically, and socially. But going back to interracial relationships, a number of them do fail because you have a number of individuals who are outside the relationship who will not approve of it. You have a lot of work to do. And again, when you're dealing with interracial relationships, you have differences in culture, differences in value systems, different tastes. And tastes come from the cultures, different styles of cooking, different styles of music. And the reason why some white folk gravitate to their own because they think their way of doing things is better. And unfortunately, we as African Americans think that way as well. But I'm going to tell you, the Eurocentric way is not the best way for us. Understanding our culture is what's best for us. If you want balance in interracial relationships, you must understand both cultures if you want it to work. It is going to be an uphill battle, but it can work. But you're going to have to be on your P's and Q's a lot more, because you're going to have a lot of people who are going to look at you much differently. Because I don't care what year it is, individuals still don't approve of interracial dating. Because if they did, you'd see more of it. Yes, the numbers are climbing, but most of us still marry in our own race. Now, of course, this video is not about interracial dating. What I'm simply pointing out is that you need balance in relationships if you want them to work. Now, going back to the situation about developing families. Both parties should have themselves a career. Both parties should come from stable families themselves. They should be stable in the mind. They should have enough education to understand how the real world works. They should not have records. I'm talking about felonies. They should have decent credit. And they should have a mind to be partners. Overall, what I'm saying is a true relationship should be complementary, interdependent. And you must be in that relationship for the right reason. Most of all, you should believe in the Most High. Again, our country was founded on the Judeo-Christian concept. And that comes from the Most High. You see, if you have the Most High in your relationship, you can get through all this worldly nonsense that's taking place. The bottom line is, to help your relationship work, if you're going to meet outside people, they must also be of the Most High. Because individuals who are under the serpent or demonic are going to do everything to try to destroy your relationship. Why? Because of jealousy, envy, narcissism, delusion, insecurity, inferiority complexes, unstable mindset. They're also going to be immature, and they're not going to have anything to bring to the table. This is why you have a number of individuals who will try to lecture somebody, especially the ones who have no man or no woman. They're trying to give the person who has a man or woman all of the advice. How are you going to give me advice when you don't have anybody? And how are you going to tell me I have a problem when all you do is rant and rave about your problems to me? The bottom line, when it comes to any relationship, you must be a partnership. That's the only way it's going to work. Now, I know you hear terms like matriarchy and patriarchy that are thrown around, but a relationship is a corporation. It's a business. Yes, you have lovey-dovey inside the relationship, but you must understand that it takes time to build a relationship. And if you're going to have that balance within that relationship, you must have ideas that that relationship will work. In other words, your attitude must be positive. You must understand that You're going to go through ups and downs. Do not come into a relationship thinking that the man's a prince and the woman is Cinderella. It doesn't work that way. Fantasy will tear a relationship down. Relationships aren't about storybook endings. Relationships are about being a partnership. And when you're a true partnership, you bring kids into the world, they see that the parents are stable and respectful to each other, and they're teaching their children how to be respectful, then the fruits of the tree, which are the kids, they're going to grow to have successful relationships for the most part themselves, unless they meet bad people. But it is the two people involved in the relationship, and I'm talking about balance. If you have children, you must teach the children how to grow up, how to leave the nest. You have too many children who are living at home, or you have the children coming back and forth. Their house of their parents is a revolving door, and the parents enable that behavior. Parents, if you love your children, you got to let them go. Because at the end of the day, when you let the birdies fly away and they form their own families and they're stable, they continue legacies. That's what balance is about. When you have horrific accidents like hurricanes and tornadoes, just think about this. That's just the earth replenishing itself. Well, when parents and when children have disagreements, what you're basically doing is reassuring your relationship. You're reassuring the members of that relationship that you'll be there and that you love them. Relationships take a lot of work. But if you don't have that balance, the relationship doesn't work. You cannot come into a relationship just thinking about yourself. It is a we thing, not a me thing. But many of us come into a relationship after being in previous bad relationships, and we say there are no quality men or women out there. That is bogus. There are enough quality men and women, even today, with feminism and MGTOW. You can find a good person. Part of the reasons why individuals aren't finding good people is they're on social media too much. And the reason why social media is bad for relationships, it's because you have individuals who get a number of messages in their mailbox every day. And what that does, that allows them to be more picky. Social media is a bad way to find a relationship. If you're going to find good people, you got to get out there and beat feet like you're finding a job. Because a relationship is not going to come to you via social media. It's not going to come to you via telephone. You got to go find it if that's what you're searching for. And before you find a relationship, men and women, you have to get to know yourself. And you have to understand the other person. You're going to disagree on some topics, but you got to come together to make that relationship work. Because if your relationship doesn't work, it's going to dissolve. And we have enough people who have been divorced. We have enough people who've been in and out of relationships. But if you want to keep your relationship together, you got to work as a team. Be a partnership. Because a relationship takes balance. And if you don't have balance, you have chaos and anarchy. And if you don't believe me, look around you. There are a number of relationships that continue to fail. But if you want your relationship to work, know what you want in a relationship and know who you are. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show for this evening, Monday, June 4th, 2018. You can tune in to the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on my channel, I do not debate, engage in controversial issues or emotional issues, and that just depends on how the receiver of the audience is taking my information. The information that I put out on this channel is always going to be positive, and I keep it 100% because I don't do drama and I don't bicker. It's counterproductive. What I do here is teach. My channel is a self-awareness therapeutic channel. And when you listen to my channel, you get the information about the real world, because if you understand how the real world works, you will succeed. And being in a healthy relationship is part of understanding the real world. So once you have knowledge, you have power. And if you have a topic, a new YouTube channel or business that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy, no bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering. If you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed night. God bless you.